My beloved child, I speak to you now, not in riddles, not in suggestion, but in unmistakable clarity. This is no longer just a gentle whisper. This is a summons from the throne room of heaven, echoing through the corridors of your spirit, shaking the deepest places inside of you where fear once lived and faith now begins to stir. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange unrest, that unshakable feeling that something is shifting beneath your feet. It's not anxiety, it's not coincidence. It is the movement of the divine calling your name across the atmosphere of time. You are standing at the threshold of a supernatural door not made with human hands, one not carved by opportunity or circumstance. This door was formed before the foundations of the world, and it has waited for you. You thought you were seeking me, but child, I was seeking you. Every moment of silence, every season of delay, every prayer that seemed unanswered was not absence, it was alignment. I was preparing the road beneath your feet, removing what would have destroyed you had I allowed you to walk forward too soon. But now, the door has opened. This is your final door in this season, and it comes not as an invitation, but as a divine appointment. One that carries with it the weight of generations, one that will not open again in this exact form. Let me speak plainly. You are not just deciding for yourself. You are standing in proxy for your bloodline. Your yes is not a solitary echo, it is a multi-generational shift. Because what I am releasing is not only for you, it is for those who came before you and those who will come after you. Can you feel the sacred weight of that truth? There have been doors in your life before. Some you missed, some you weren't ready for, some you weren't strong enough to walk through. But this one is different. This door is not about survival. This door is about assignment. This door does not promise ease. It promises eternal significance. I did not bring you this far to tease you. I did not awaken you in the night to confuse you. I did not whisper to your heart just to disappear again. I am here. I am speaking. And I am summoning you into movement. You've asked me for clarity. You've begged me for direction. And now I am answering, but not with maps and timelines. I am answering with a door. And I am asking you to trust me enough to walk through it without seeing everything on the other side. Child, I know it's hard. I know how long you've waited. I know how many times you've thought, maybe I'm too late. But hear me now. You are not late. You are right on time. The enemy has tried to convince you that you've missed your moment. But I tell you this, your moment is standing in front of you. Right now, he has used weariness. He has used confusion. He has planted distractions in the soil of your mind, hoping you would forget who you are and why you were born. But my purpose is louder than his lies. My plans are deeper than his plots. And my door is stronger than anything the enemy tried to shut. Do you feel it now? The trembling in your heart, the way your soul feels like it's leaning forward? That is because your spirit recognizes the call of heaven. Child, listen. This is not about emotion. This is not hype. This is not inspiration. This is revelation. This is invitation. This is destiny demanding your agreement. You were not created to drift. You were created for this divine intersection. You were designed for impact that echoes beyond your lifetime. And now, heaven waits, not with judgment, but with expectancy. Because even though the door is open, I will not push you through it. I will not force your hand. I will not override your will. I love you too much to control you, but I love you too fiercely to remain silent. This is your moment. This is your door. And I am standing on the other side, reaching out my hand, not to drag you, but to receive you into the next chapter of your story. Will you come? Will you trust again? Will you walk when nothing is guaranteed but me? Will you move even when the details are invisible? Because what awaits is not just a change of scenery. It is a transformation of identity. It is the fulfillment of promises you almost forgot. It is the place where everything lost becomes seed for something eternal. So now, my child, breathe. Be still. Let the noise quiet. Let the doubts dissolve. And listen. Do you hear it? That quiet yet unshakable pull deep inside you? That's not hope. That's not nerves. That's recognition. Your soul knows that this is holy. And now the only question is, will you step through? My beloved child, before we speak of the blessings that will follow your obedience, we must first confront the battle that has raged over your soul. Because if you only knew what your yes unlocks, you would finally understand why hell has tried so desperately to stop it. You have mistaken the resistance in your life as evidence of failure. You've wondered if the closed doors, the delays, the betrayals, the depression, the exhaustion were signs that you were disqualified, unworthy, or forgotten. But child, what if I told you it was the opposite? What if the weight pressing on you has never been punishment, but proof of how valuable your obedience truly is? The enemy does not waste his resources on the ones who pose no threat. He is strategic. He is terrified of your alignment with me. He knows that the moment your will bows to mine, you become unstoppable, no because you're strong, but because you become a vessel for my power to flow through freely. That's why the attack wasn't random. It wasn't about what you did wrong. It was about what you were called to do right. That's why disappointment visited you early. That's why trust was broken when you were still learning what love meant. That's why your heart was crushed just as it began to dream again. Because the enemy saw the seed. He saw the fire. He saw what you didn't yet recognize in yourself, that you were chosen. And so he used everything he could. The betrayal of people you trusted. The trauma that still echoes in your bones. The shame of decisions made in pain, the silence of seasons where it felt like I wasn't listening, the delays that felt like denial, the voices that told you, maybe you're not really called, but I was there. I saw every lie being planted. I heard every voice trying to redefine you, and I wept not because you were weak, but because I knew the day would come when you would rise again, and I would be able to say, this one never gave up. This one is mine. Child, this has always been about your yes. Not just any yes, but the one that costs something. The yes that rises from ashes. The yes that comes after years of unanswered prayers. The yes that dares to trust again when it would be easier to numb out and survive. Do you see it now? Your life hasn't been meaningless. It's been a battleground. Not for your possessions, not for your platform, but for your posture. Because if you bow to fear, the enemy wins. But if you bow to me, heaven wins through you. Let me show you something. Every time you chose love over bitterness, that was warfare. Every time you worshipped when you were wounded, that was a sword in the spirit. Every time you whispered, God, I trust you, while shaking, that was a blow to the darkness. You thought you were barely surviving, but in the spirit realm, you were taking ground. And now you're not just surviving. Now I am calling you to stand, to walk, to say yes without apology. Because I'm ready to move, but not around you, through you. But know this, child. When you say yes, the warfare won't vanish. In fact, sometimes it will intensify. But so will my presence. So will my covering. So will the authority I place upon your life. You don't need to fight the way the world fights. You fight with your faith, with your persistence, with your peace, with your ability to remain soft when life has tried to harden you. And that softness, that purity that still exists inside you, that's why you're qualified. Not because you're the loudest, not because you have the most followers, not because you've never failed, but because, despite it all, you've kept your heart open to me. The enemy hates that, because open hearts receive divine downloads, and divine downloads change everything. So when you feel the resistance rising again, when you feel anxiety trying to squeeze your chest, when you feel doubt circling your thoughts, when you feel the old familiar heaviness trying to return, remember this: you are in the middle of a spiritual war for your yes. But child, you are not losing, because the fact that you're still reading these words, still listening, still fighting to believe, means the war is already tilting in your favor. And now I say this to the darkness that's followed you: enough. Your yes has pierced the veil. It has shattered chains. It has sounded like a trumpet in the spirit realm, and my angels are now moving, not because you screamed, but because you surrendered. So now, my beloved, know this with certainty: every attack, every delay, every broken moment, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? They weren't meant to destroy you. They were designed to distract you, to keep you from the door you are now standing before. But you're still here, still saying yes, still choosing to believe in something greater. And that is why the war ends here. Because now your yes is no longer just an act of obedience. It is a weapon of victory. And with it, you will walk forward, not into another battle, but into fulfillment. My beloved child, today I must show you something that goes beyond your personal journey. Because the door before you, it does not only lead to your breakthrough, it leads to a generational shift. Let me explain this plainly. There are patterns in your bloodline that didn't start with you. Pain that's been recycled for generations. Wounds passed down like inheritances: shame, fear, lack, silence, addiction, abandonment, distrust, depression. You were born into a story already in motion, a legacy written with both beauty and brokenness. And for too long, that brokenness has been allowed to speak louder than my promises. But child, you were born to interrupt that narrative. You didn't just survive the fire. You were forged in it. You were never meant to be a continuation of what came before. You were designed to be a collision where generational bondage ends and divine legacy begins. That is why your yes matters more than you know. Your obedience today isn't just shifting your life. It's shaking the roots of ancient patterns. It's breaking curses that have followed your mother, your father, your grandparents, even those whose names you've never known but whose pain still flows through your family line. This is what's happening now in the spirit. As you say yes, chains are falling off people you've never met. Strongholds are weakening. Things that your family accepted as normal for decades. You're beginning to question, to resist, to overturn. Why? Because I put something different in you. Have you ever wondered why you've always felt out of place? Why you were more sensitive, more introspective, more spiritually aware than others around you? Why, even as a child, you felt things deeply but couldn't explain them? That wasn't weakness. That was spiritual wiring. I marked you early because I intended to use you later. And now this is that later. You are what I call a first fruit breaker. You're the first in your line to carry a new flame, the first to pray like this, the first to seek me not out of religion, but out of relationship, the first to dream beyond survival, the first to say, this stops with me. And beloved, when you say that, heaven listens. You may not have had examples. You may have had to teach yourself how to believe. You may still feel unequipped to carry the weight of this calling. But I tell you this, you are not alone. There is an entire cloud of witnesses, those who came before you, now cheering from the unseen realm. Some of them ran out of time. Some of them lost their voice. Some of them didn't get the healing they begged me for. But now, through your yes, they will be vindicated. Because I am a generational God. And when I bless, I don't bless in pieces, I bless in bloodlines. So when you obey me, I don't just touch your life, I touch everything attached to you. Your children, your marriage, your finances, your emotions, even the unborn legacy you haven't imagined yet. You may think this is too big for you, but child, I never asked you to do it alone. I only asked you to say yes, because when you do, I will supply what you lack. Let me show you something deeper. This isn't just about breaking curses, it's also about restoring what was stolen. There were blessings meant for your family that were lost along the way. Promises inclaimed, fields never sown, gifts buried by fear or religion. But I am now unearthing them. Your obedience is redigging wells. Wells of creativity, of favor, of influence, of joy. Wells your ancestors never got to drink from. You will draw from them again. You will plant where the land was once barren. And hear me, you will not do this alone. I will send others like you. You are not the only breaker. You will begin to meet them. Your spirits will recognize each other. And together you will build something new. A new normal. A new culture. A new way of walking that reflects not your family's pain, but my glory. So today, when you feel tired, when you wonder why the pressure is so great, remember this. The weight you carry is not a burden. It is a mantle. A spiritual garment tailored for someone with your exact story, your exact pain, your exact perseverance. And as you wear it, the atmosphere around you will shift. People will begin to heal in your presence. They won't even know why. But it will be because you chose to go where others would not. You became the yes that rewrote the script. So, my child, do not let this weight scare you. Let it humble you. Let it sharpen you. Let it awaken you to the greatness you carry inside. Because this is not about perfection. It's about permission. And you, my beloved child, this is the moment I need you to understand. Something that will silence every lie, every fear, and every doubt that has ever tried to diminish your worth. The door in front of you, the one you've been afraid to approach, the one that feels too big, too sacred, too impossible, it was always meant for you. Not because you earned it, not because you performed perfectly, not because of your family name, your credentials, your accomplishments, or even your prayers, but because I wrote your name into it before the foundation of the world. Yes, child, that's how far back I planned for you. Before there was sin, before there was shame, before the trauma, the betrayal, the divorce, the loss, the failure, I already saw this moment. And I designed this door as the exact intersection where heaven's purpose would collide with your journey. You've asked, why me? And I answer, because I chose you before you ever questioned me. I knew who you'd become. I knew the mistakes you'd make. I knew the seasons you'd feel lost, bitter, angry, broken. But none of that canceled your purpose. Because, child, I called you with full knowledge of your humanity. Do you understand what that means? It means this door is not a reward. It's not an accident. It's not a lucky break. It's not a second chance. It is your rightful inheritance. It has been waiting for you. But here is the truth. Doors don't chase people. They stand, they wait, and they respond only to those who recognize them for what they are. Divine appointments wrapped in mystery. And this door, beloved, was tailor-made for your feet. Its frame was measured by the span of your faith. Its handle was forged in the fires of your perseverance. Its hinges were oiled with the tears you cried in silence. And the key that opens it? It was hidden in the pocket of your heart all along. That key is called obedience. You've spent years wondering why certain doors didn't open. Why others walked through opportunities that you begged for. Why you stood in front of rooms and felt invisible. But child, hear me. You weren't locked out. You were being preserved. The doors that didn't open were not meant to define your worth. They were meant to protect your alignment. Because not every open door is divine. Not every opportunity is anointed. Not every platform is stable. I was saving you for this door. The one that doesn't just elevate you, but establishes you. Let me show you something beautiful. When I open a door, it won't require you to betray yourself to walk through it. You won't have to diminish your voice. You won't have to fake confidence. You won't have to silence your convictions. You won't have to beg to be noticed, because the right door recognizes your presence. It senses your arrival. It responds to your authenticity. And most of all, it honors the anointing I placed on you. So if you're wondering if this is really your time, if you're still asking, what if I'm not ready? Let me answer with love. You are as ready as your surrender is deep. You don't need more qualifications. You don't need another confirmation. You don't need another person to validate you. You need to believe me. Believe that I don't open doors carelessly, that I don't place holy things in hands that will drop them, that I don't call the prepared, but I prepare the ones I call. And child, I have called you. This door is the evidence. It's not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your divine placement. Through this door, I will reveal aspects of yourself that you forgot existed. Boldness, creativity, vision, compassion, authority. Not titles, not roles, but identity. Because through this door you will not become someone new. You will become who you truly are. And others will look at you and wonder where it came from. But you'll know it was always inside you, waiting for this moment, this door. And let me say this too. No one can steal this door from you. No voice can disqualify you. No enemy can shut it, because I am the one who opened it. Revelation 3:8. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Not your past, not your fear, not even your own hesitation, because the mercy on your life is greater than the mistakes you've made, and the grace that surrounds you now is greater than the judgment of others. So come, child, take a step, not a leap, just a step. You don't have to sprint. You don't have to prove yourself. You just have to say, yes, Lord, I see the door, and I choose to walk with you through it. And once you do, you'll never again wonder where you belong, because you'll know this was always the place, the calling, the space, the future, made for you, my beloved child. Now that you've seen the door, now that your heart has whispered yes, let me show you what I've been preparing on the other side. You see, heaven never opens a door without preparing a room. And this room, this realm of promise, has not been filled with random blessings. No, child. It's been crafted with precision, with purpose, and with your name etched into every corner. I know you wonder, what's waiting for me if I walk through? And the world has trained you to expect uncertainty, to brace for disappointment, to keep your expectations low, to say, let's not hope too much, just in case. But child, I am not like the world, and this is not like anything you've experienced before. What awaits you is not another test. It is not another delay. It is not another season of wondering if I've forgotten you. No, this is the place of divine manifestation. This is where seeds begin to sprout, where prayers begin to speak, and where promises that once lived only in your imagination begin to walk beside you in real life. Let me name what's waiting. 1. Healing in full bloom. There are wounds you've lived with so long, you've forgotten they hurt. Rejections you tucked beneath your strength. Disappointments you called lessons, but secretly never healed from. Griefs you buried beneath busyness. But in this next room, I will not let you carry those anymore. On the other side of this door, healing will not be partial. It will not be temporary. It will be deep. It will be cellular. It will reach the places no hand ever touched and no words ever comforted. And it won't come through striving. It will come through rest. Because my presence will wrap around you like a warm garment, not to pressure you, but to hold you. 2. Restoration of what was lost. There are things you let go of because you thought you had to. Dreams you released out of exhaustion. Relationships you buried in heartbreak. Opportunities you assumed would never return. But I say this, nothing is truly lost in me. I am the God who resurrects. I restore years. I restore laughter. I restore trust. I restore your sense of wonder. You will see me give back to you things you let go of with tears. And when they return, they will not look like what you remember. They will look better, refined, redeemed. Not like leftovers, but like treasures freshly delivered from my hand. San. Divine relationships. You've spent years surrounded by people who couldn't see you, people who misunderstood your heart, who used your compassion but didn't value your spirit, who took but never poured back. But on the other side of this door, I have prepared connection. Not connection based on convenience, but based on kingdom purpose. You will meet those who carry keys to rooms you didn't even know existed. They will speak your language. They will pray for you without being asked. They will sharpen your vision instead of dimming your light. They will not compete. They will align. This is what I call covenant community, and it's already in motion. 4. Creative unleashing. You have ideas buried beneath practicality, visions you told yourself were too much. Art, innovation, writings, projects, businesses, ministries, movements, all resting quietly in the shadows. But I place them there, not as decoration, but as destiny. And when you step through this door, I will begin to breathe on those dreams again. The fog will lift, the distractions will fall away, and your hands will begin to build what your heart has only imagined. And I tell you this, it will not take as long as you think, because I have already prepared the resources. All I need now is your courage. 5. Authority you didn't ask for. This may surprise you, child, but on the other side of this door, I am giving you authority. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that commands peace, that calms rooms, that shifts spiritual atmospheres. When you speak, heaven will echo. Not because you are loud, but because you are aligned. Demons will tremble. Chains will break. Not because of your charisma, but because you carry my weight. This authority comes not from knowledge, but from surrender. And you have surrendered long enough. Now I clothe you in my mantle. 6. Overflowing joy. Not just happiness, not fleeting moments of pleasure, but a deep, anchored, consistent joy that cannot be explained. The kind that dances in sorrow, that sings in storms, that glows in the dark. You have cried enough. Now it's time to laugh without apology. Joy will follow you like a child follows a parent. It will surprise you in mundane places. You'll find yourself smiling for no reason, because I have made your soul light again. Child, all of this awaits, not in some distant future, not in a vague promise, but right now on the other side of this door. And this door, it only opens to trust. You will not receive these things by running. You will not force them with effort. You will enter them by walking step by step with me. I have not brought you here to tease you. I have brought you here to fulfill you. And my plans? They are not fragile. They do not expire. They are still intact, still waiting, still breathing, just like you, my beloved child. Now that you stand on the edge of promise, now that your spirit is beginning to believe again, now that your yes is forming in the secret place of your heart, Let me finally reveal to you what the enemy has always known. You are dangerous, not because of your voice, not because of your status, not because of your talents, but because of your alignment with me. You were born carrying something eternal, something the enemy cannot replicate, something that threatens every system of fear, manipulation, and bondage that darkness has tried to build in your family, in your generation, in your region. You may think you've barely made it here, but the enemy knows what you carry. He has known since your first breath, and that is why he fought you so hard. This wasn't about discouragement. This wasn't just about keeping you sad. This was warfare, targeted, strategic, and relentless, designed to do one thing: stop your agreement with heaven. Because the enemy knew the moment you said yes. Real yes. Costly yes. Wounded but unwavering yes. You would become a threat to everything he has tried to build. You would break cycles. You would interrupt patterns. You would expose lies. You would set others free just by walking in truth. That's why your life has felt heavier than others. Why you've walked through storms that no one saw. Why your mind has battled thoughts that you couldn't explain. Why fear came for you in waves that didn't make sense. It's because the resistance on your life was never random. It was confirmation of your impact. You weren't just under attack. You were under assignment. And the enemy thought if he could wound you deep enough, you'd walk away before your moment came. But you didn't. You stayed. You prayed. You crawled. You wept. You wrestled. But you remained. And now you are on the verge of what the enemy never wanted to see: your full surrender. Your complete yes. Your entrance into the very place he's been trying to keep you from. Let me remind you what you survived. You survived the silence. When I seemed quiet and heaven felt far, you still whispered my name. You survived betrayal. When people you trusted broke your heart, you didn't let it harden you completely. You survived delay. When the promises didn't come in the timing you hoped for, you didn't walk away in offense. You survived internal war, nights where you questioned everything, even your worth, even your calling, even your future. But you kept showing up. You survived the lies, the ones whispered in childhood, the ones disguised as self-talk, the ones that tried to rename you with shame and failure. Child, hear me. The fact that you're still here is your proof of victory. Hell tried to take you out, and heaven said, "Not this one. I'm not finished." Now that you know this, do you understand why things intensified when you got close to the door? Why suddenly you felt unworthy? Why memories from years ago began to resurface? Why temptation came back in the places you thought were healed? It's because the enemy saw you reaching for the handle. He knew if you took one more step, you wouldn't just walk through. You would shatter the plans he's been building for decades. Let me say it clearly. Your obedience will ripple. It will affect people you haven't met. It will awaken hearts that were numb. It will break off demonic agreements made generations ago. It will confuse the darkness, because the enemy never expected you to rise from that much pain and still believe. But here you are, not perfect, not fearless, but present, surrendered, available. And in my kingdom, availability is all I need to release authority. You may feel small, but from my view, you are a gate through which heaven can pour into the earth. And every yes you give me, every act of obedience, every refusal to shrink back, widens that gate. Do not be surprised if the resistance increases in this hour, but do not fear it, because now you know what it means. It means you are near. When the pressure rises, don't shrink. Worship louder, stand firmer, pray deeper, because what you carry is worth the fight. And I am not asking you to fight alone. I have assigned angels to walk beside you. I have placed people in your path who will recognize you in the spirit. I have filled your lungs with my breath. I have covered your back. I have gone before you. So when the voices rise again, the ones that say, "You'll never change," "You're not enough," "God isn't really with you," "Your past is too messy," "Your calling is too late," silence them with this truth. If I wasn't dangerous to darkness, I wouldn't be this heavily resisted. And now that I know the truth, I don't fear the fight. I welcome the victory. My beloved child, let me speak gently now, because you've carried this one silently for too long. That aching question, the quiet doubt you've buried behind brave smiles, the whisper that creeps in when the room grows quiet. Did I miss it? Am I too late? Did I take too long to believe, too long to heal, too long to obey? Child, let me answer this with the full authority of heaven. You are not late. You are right on time. Yes, time has passed. Yes, there were detours. Yes, there were seasons where fear seemed to paralyze you, where weariness slowed your steps, where pain made you turn around and wonder if it was all still worth it. But through it all, I was still guiding you, because in my kingdom I do not measure your timeline by human clocks. I do not mark your destiny by the pace of others. I do not rush what I am forming with care. I do not hurry those I love into something their spirit is not yet ready to carry. And child, you were never running behind. You were being refined. While you thought nothing was happening, I was working beneath the surface. I was healing you in the hidden place, strengthening your foundations, teaching you to hear my voice, not the noise of the world, freeing you from needing the approval of those who were never meant to lead you. Do you remember the years you thought were wasted? The jobs you left, the relationships that fell apart, the doors that closed, the seasons that felt barren, the prayers that felt unanswered? I want you to see them differently now. Those years were not delays. They were sacred detours. They were altars. They were deserts that detoxed your soul from false identity. They were caves where I trained your ears to hear the whisper, where I taught your heart to trust in silence. You weren't late. You were being prepared. There is something holy about those who take the long road, something deep that forms in the soul when nothing happens quickly. You lose the hunger for approval. You stop worshiping efficiency. You begin to love presence over performance. You no longer chase platforms. You wait for my permission. And now you are ready. You are not perfect, but you are yielded. You are not fearless, but you are willing. You are not fully healed, but you are available. And in my kingdom, that is enough for me to move. So when you look around and see others younger than you, farther along than you, more visible than you, do not compare. Do not diminish your timing, because what I'm doing in you is not common. And uncommon callings require unusual timelines. There are things I'm about to do in your life that will look like they happened overnight, but you will know the truth. You will know that nothing about it was sudden. It was slow. It was deep. It was sacred. And the reason it took time is because the glory resting on it will last. Child, if I had opened the door earlier, you would have walked in with the wrong version of you. The wounded version. The proving version. The unhealed version. The version still looking for someone else to say, "You're enough." But now you know better. Now, you know who holds your future. Now, you know how to rest even while waiting. Now, your confidence is no longer in people or timelines, but in my faithfulness. And because you waited, because you did not rush, because you stayed in the process even when you didn't understand it, I will now accelerate what I have promised, not to make up for lost time, but to redeem it. I am the God who makes all things new, including your timeline, including your story, including the years that were eaten by anxiety, confusion, regret, fear. Joel 2:25. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. This is not a metaphor. This is a guarantee. And your life is now moving into the kind of timing that doesn't make sense to the natural mind. Suddenly, things will open. Suddenly, answers will come. Suddenly, favor will find you. But make no mistake, this is not sudden to heaven. This is the right time. So hold your head up, not with pride, but with clarity, knowing that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, right here, right now, standing before a door that has waited patiently, just like heaven waited for your yes. You are not late. You are not behind. You are in sync with eternal design. And the best part? You didn't miss your moment, because you are the moment. What I placed inside of you is just now beginning to bloom. And child, there's still so much I'm going to do through you, because you chose to say yes when it would have been easier to quit. And that yes, it was right on time. My beloved child, you've seen the door. You've heard the whisper. You've felt the weight. You've faced the war. You've broken the silence. You've shed the shame. You've released the past. You've reclaimed your name. Now, there is only one thing left to do. Walk through the door, not in fear, not in hesitation, not with half a heart, but with the boldness of someone who knows this is the moment all of heaven has been waiting for, not because you're ready in your own strength, but because you're aligned with mine. Child, you've spent years asking me to move, but what you didn't see was that I was waiting on your movement. Because in my kingdom, motion releases miracles. Faith opens what logic never could. And now, it's time. There are no more confirmations coming. You've already received them. There are no more prophecies needed. I've already spoken. The door isn't going to swing any wider. It is open now, so take the step. Let go of needing every detail. Let go of the fear of being misunderstood. Let go of the guilt of how long it took to get here. Because obedience redeems everything. And when you walk through this door, heaven will not just applaud, it will move. Winds will shift. Territory will be shaken. Destinies will be activated. Not just yours, but of those who were connected to your yes. You will become the answer to prayers others forgot they prayed. You will walk into rooms that generations before you could only dream of. You will carry light into places that have been dark for far too long. This is not a finish line. This is a birthing room. And what's coming through you is not small. It is holy. It is weighty. It is world-changing. But none of it begins until you walk. So walk. Walk through, even if your voice shakes. Walk through, even if your knees tremble. Walk through, even if you don't know what's next. Because I do. I know what's on the other side. I've seen the rooms prepared. I've seen the oil waiting to be poured. I've seen the people waiting to be healed. I've seen the nations waiting to be touched. I've seen the chains waiting to be broken. And all of it is tied to this one act. Your obedience. Walk through, and you'll find strength you didn't know you had. Walk through, and you'll discover how light freedom feels. Walk through, and your past will finally fall silent. Walk through, and every lie will lose its power. Walk through, and you'll never again question why you were born. Because when your feet cross this threshold, you step into why I formed you. You will no longer carry the title survivor. You will be called sent. You will no longer live from pain. You will live from purpose. And everywhere you go, you will carry the evidence of one who heard the voice of God and responded. So rise now. Straighten your shoulders. Lift your head. Put your hand on the handle of that door. Feel the warmth of my presence surround you. Feel the whisper become a wind. Feel the fire of destiny light up your bones. And when you walk through, know this: you're not walking into uncertainty. You're walking into the fulfillment of every hidden promise. You're walking into the place your spirit has always longed for. You're walking into alignment with heaven itself. And I, the Lord your God, I will walk with you every step, every day, every assignment, every season. This is the moment that changes everything. Now, child, walk through the crime door, my beloved child. Now that you've stepped through the door, now that your trembling feet have touched the threshold of divine fulfillment, I want to show you what happens after obedience. You see, many believe the door is the destination, but in my kingdom, the door is only the beginning of acceleration. It is the place where heaven begins to move in ways you could not imagine while still standing outside. Child, let me speak this clearly to your soul. When you obey, all of creation aligns. I'm not speaking in metaphor. I'm not exaggerating to comfort you. I am telling you, everything begins to move because of your yes. When your spirit bows and your feet follow, heaven is authorized to release what it has held back. Angels are dispatched. Resources are released. Hearts begin to turn. Doors begin to open, doors you didn't even knock on. This is the aftermath of obedience. The world told you obedience is hard, that it means loss, that it means limitation. But I tell you, obedience births miracles. It unlocks rivers in deserts. It brings strategies you didn't study. It accelerates timelines that should have taken years. Child, do you remember the moments you thought you had missed it forever? When you thought, it's too late, too far gone? Let me show you how I redeem time. There are blessings waiting at the next turn, not because you finally deserve them, but because your obedience created a landing strip for my glory. People will say, how did this happen so fast? They won't see the years of silent sacrifice, the nights you wept on your pillow, the decisions no one saw, the prayers you whispered when your heart was crushed. But I saw. I recorded it all. And now I will reward it openly. Matthew 6:6. What you've done in secret, your Father will reward in the open. So now, expect the shift. Expect provision that doesn't make sense. Expect connections that feel heaven sent. Expect doors to open before you even reach them. Expect favor that covers what experience cannot. But child, here's the truth. The blessings that follow obedience are not just for your comfort. They are for your commission. I am not blessing you to make you impressive. I am blessing you to make you impactful. So you can bless others. So you can reach the ones still behind closed doors. So your life becomes a signpost that says, this way, there is more. Don't give up. Because the greatest miracle after obedience is not just what happens around you, it's what happens in you. You will begin to walk differently. You will no longer chase what you used to beg for. You will carry peace into places of panic. You will speak hope where silence used to live. You will bring my presence into rooms that have never known light. This is the reward of a yielded life. Not applause, but authority. And now I say to you, let your soul settle into this new season. You are no longer striving. You are now moving in rhythm with heaven. This is not temporary. This is not emotional. This is establishment. I have planted you. I have clothed you. I have filled you. And I am now sending you. So walk forward, not as one uncertain, but as one who has been commissioned by God Himself. You obeyed, and now, child, you shall see everything I promised. My beloved child, now that your feet have stepped into alignment, Now that your obedience has echoed through the unseen realm, let me show you what you couldn't have imagined. The lives that will be transformed because you said yes. Yes, child. This wasn't just about you. This was never only about your healing, your breakthrough, your restoration. From the very beginning, your yes was crafted to be a seed of revival in the lives of others. When you obey, you don't just shift your own future. You shift the trajectory of people connected to your assignment. There are people walking through valleys right now, people who are close to giving up, people who think no one sees them, people who believe the lies the enemy whispered in your ears too, and they are about to meet you. Not the old you, not the unsure you, but the version of you that walks through doors without fear, the version of you that carries peace like oxygen, the version of you that doesn't just say, God is good, but embodies that truth. Because your life has become a testimony they didn't know they needed. You don't even have to try. You won't have to announce it. The oil on your life will speak louder than anything you say. People will feel safe near you, not because you preach to them, but because you carry presence. Because they'll look into your eyes and feel something they haven't felt in a long time. Hope. And child, what I'm doing through you will be quiet, but it will be unstoppable. You will comfort women who thought they were too broken to begin again. You will affirm men who never heard they were worthy of gentleness. You will speak peace over anxious minds without needing perfect words. You will lead without leading loudly. You will lift people just by standing next to them, because your yes released something. It released an anointing of healing, of trust, of identity, of joy, of vision, of strength, of legacy. And all of this, beloved, began the moment you said, "Yes, Lord, I'll walk through the door." Let me tell you what you haven't yet seen. There's a child who will find their calling by watching how you live. There's a single mother who will find strength through your quiet encouragement. There's an elder who thought their season was over, until your yes reignited their faith. There's a man struggling with depression who will hear you speak life over yourself and realize he can do the same. You won't always know what you're doing in the moment. You won't always feel ready, but I will move through you anyway, because the Spirit inside you is more than enough. This is the beauty of your surrender. It doesn't need to be eloquent. It doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. And when it's real, it becomes revival. In grocery store aisles, in hospital waiting rooms, in late-night phone calls, in quiet coffee shops, in broken homes, in weary hearts. And when you ask, God, who am I to carry this much weight? I'll remind you, you are not carrying it alone. You are carrying me, and I am not heavy. I am holy, and I move lightly through those who remain soft. So yes, the people will come. They will ask questions. They will open their wounds. They will bring their silence. And you will not panic. You will not shrink. You will not say, I'm not enough. Because you'll remember, you didn't become this overnight. You became this in caves, in tears, in battles no one saw, in altars built in your bedroom, in long nights where you chose worship instead of bitterness. That's why your words now carry weight. That's why your yes now carries fire. That's why I can trust you with people, because you've allowed me to transform you first. So now, beloved, expect impact. Expect people to lean in. Expect conversations to go deep. Expect strangers to open their hearts. Expect divin appointement. And when they ask, what changed you? Smile softly and say, I said yes to God, and He said yes to using me. Because that is the legacy of surrender. Not fame, not spotlight, but a trail of transformed lives. All because one wounded soul said, I won't wait any longer. I will walk through the door. My beloved child, let me take you deeper. Let me show you what cannot be seen with the natural eye. What is hidden behind the veil of human understanding? What angels lean in to observe and scribes in heaven write down with reverence? When you said yes, when your trembling heart surrendered even in fear, when your voice cracked but you whispered, "God, I trust you," heaven went still. Yes, all of heaven paused, because obedience from a wounded soul is louder than the praises of thousands. Your yes shook dimensions. It didn't just make ripples on earth. It caused tremors in spiritual places where darkness had laid claim to your bloodline. Let me tell you exactly what heaven recorded. A line was drawn, a shift took place, and the records of heaven reflected it instantly. Angels were dispatched not just to surround you, but to begin reconfiguring blueprints that had been held back until your surrender was made. Chains, which had wrapped around generations, suddenly loosened, because one heart, yours, had broken free from fear. Do you know what else was written? That at this exact timestamp in eternity, you chose purpose over comfort. You chose to believe again. You chose to walk through the fire not knowing if the flames would part, but trusting that even if they didn't, God would still walk with you inside them. Child, heaven didn't just record your yes, heaven celebrated it. There was a sound, a reverberation like thunder and wind that rippled through the heavenly realms, because your yes was not small. It was monumental, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. And then God did something sacred. He took your name, the very one you often thought unremarkable, the one hidden in obscurity, the one spoken in hushed prayers at night, and he etched it deeper into the scroll of divine assignment. Your yes became a signature, a declaration that sealed your role in the greater story. The angels now know where to send reinforcement. The Spirit now breathes new strategy into your daily life. The realm of heaven now watches over you, not just as a child, but as a commissioned vessel, because in the moment of your surrender, your identity was reconfirmed, not just as saved, but as sent. That shift in posture, heaven sees it. That shift in perspective, heaven recognizes it. That choice to stay the course even when the doors haven't opened yet, heaven records it not as delay but as faithful positioning. Now hear me. There are records being kept about you, not of your failures, not of your sins that were already washed in my blood, but of every unseen act of obedience, every time you chose to forgive, every time you worshipped when no one else was watching, every time you sowed when you were in need, every time you turned down what glittered because you sensed it lacked glory. Heaven has not missed a thing. And there's more. When you said yes, I didn't just open a door. I opened a room filled with assignments, with mantles, with revelations I've been waiting to entrust to someone willing, not perfect. And now that someone is you. But listen closely. This room is not just for your benefit. It's for others, for nations, for households, for industries, for spheres that don't even yet know your name. But they will, not because of fame, but because of impact, because heaven is not building celebrity. Heaven is building conduits. People like you who can carry glory without leaking ego. People who can love without needing recognition. People who can stand in rooms of chaos and be a stabilizing presence. Child, your yes became an invitation, not just to new levels, but to new realms. You will begin to see things differently, not because you're trying harder, but because the veil has lifted. Spiritual understanding is increasing. Wisdom is flowing like a river. Discernment is sharpening like a sword. And it all began the moment you said yes. So don't minimize what happened. Don't let your natural mind talk you out of a spiritual moment. Don't shrink the size of your obedience because no one clapped. Heaven clapped. Heaven recorded. Heaven responded, and that's more than enough. Let me remind you again, your yes was not random. It was not quiet in the spirit. It was revolutionary. And what I am now about to unfold in your life will be the fruit of that decision. So walk boldly, speak clearly, live deeply, because your yes is echoing through eternity. My beloved child, let me explain to you something few ever realize. The enemy is not afraid of your talents. He's not intimidated by your possessions. He doesn't tremble at the size of your platform. But what does terrify him is your clarity, your obedience, and your alignment with me. This is why, right now, the battle has shifted. You may feel it. Less noise on the outside, but a strange tension in the air, a zupper weight pressing down. It's not because you're off course. It's because you're on target. The enemy knows what you just did. You said yes to me. You responded to my summons. You rejected delay, and now the realm of darkness has been put on high alert. Why? Because a surrendered believer, a soul who chooses me above understanding, is no longer manipulatable. Before, you were vulnerable to shame, to voices of condemnation, to distraction disguised as opportunity. But now you've stepped out of reach, not because you're better, but because you're rooted. And child, the enemy doesn't know what to do with someone who refuses to be moved by fear. Someone who no longer waits for perfect conditions before obeying. Someone who can't be bribed by comfort, and who discerns between what's good and what's God. That's why he's scared of you. He knows your prayers now hit differently. Your worship breaks things open in the spirit. Your mere presence shifts the atmosphere in rooms you enter. Because you are no longer just attending church, you have become the church. A living, breathing, walking temple of glory. A place where heaven and earth meet. The enemy has seen what's written in your scroll. He saw it long ago, that your voice would unlock others, that your hands would heal, that your story would awaken generations. And so he tried to shut you down, with betrayal, with loss, with confusion, with the kind of exhaustion that makes the soul go numb. But you didn't break. You bent. You cried. You questioned. You doubted. But you didn't leave me. You held on, sometimes with nothing but a thread of faith. And now that you've said yes, a true yes from a tested heart, you've entered into something irreversible. Let me say that again. What I have now activated in your life cannot be reversed by man, cannot be delayed by fear, cannot be sabotaged by envy, and cannot be stolen by darkness. You are dangerous now, not to people, but to principalities, to structures built on lies, to systems held together by deception, because your light, though quiet and humble, carries revelation. It exposes things. It disrupts cycles. It refuses to stay silent in the face of spiritual decay. That's why the resistance increased, not because you're failing, but because you're advancing. Hear me clearly. Spiritual warfare doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, "You're not enough. Nothing's changed. Go back to what's familiar." But I taught you to recognize my voice. And you did. You discerned me through the noise. And that terrifies the enemy more than anything. Child, this is why I kept you hidden. Why I didn't allow you to bloom prematurely. Why I let the pruning go so deep. Because I knew the weight of what you were called to carry. And now you're stepping into it. Not all at once, but in divine measure, piece by piece, layer by layer, as I see your readiness. But the enemy, he's panicking, because he can't stop what's already been sealed in heaven. He can only try to distract you before it manifests. So stay alert, stay rooted, Don't be fooled by emotional storms. Don't give weight to temporary confusion. Let me reassure you, the peace you feel underneath the chaos, that's my confirmation. The stillness in your spirit, even when everything's moving fast around you, that's the sign you're in alignment. The enemy hates that you're starting to see yourself the way I see you. He hates that shame no longer holds you, that you no longer confuse rejection with worthlessness. He hates that now. When he whispers, you don't just hear him, you challenge him, because now you know you're not just loved, you're called, not just forgiven, but entrusted. And that kind of identity, rooted not in applause, but in revelation, is unshakable. So walk forward, my child, unapologetically, without fear, without delay. You've crossed the line. There's no going back. You've become a living declaration that God is faithful, that what was meant to destroy can birth destiny, that obedience is more powerful than perfection. That's why the enemy is afraid of you now, because he knows you've finally realized who you are. My beloved child, you have done what many fear to do. You stepped through the door. You obeyed not when it was easy, but when it cost you your comfort. And now the spiritual climate around you has shifted. But here's what you must know next. Crossing the threshold was not the finish line. It was the beginning of something holy. I want you to prepare not just for breakthrough, but for the weight of glory that comes after it. There is something most people never tell you about answered prayers. They come wrapped in responsibility. Yes, I will open doors. Yes, I will elevate. Yes, I will connect you to divine relationships and favor. But child, what you must now learn is how to steward the space you've entered. The promised land is not a lounge, it is an assignment. The blessing is not a vacation, it is a mandate. The increase is not for self-exaltation. It is for intercession, for impact, for building the kingdom, not your image. When I open a door, it is not only to bless you, it is to birth through you something that heaven had been waiting to release on earth. And now that you've walked into this new space, I want to teach you the 3 things that will keep you aligned, protected, and fruitful, not just for a moment, but for the long haul. Maintain hiddenness, even in elevation. My child, remember this. Visibility in the natural does not mean you are released from secrecy in the spirit. Just because others now see you does not mean you stop abiding in the secret place. Moses met me alone before he led the people. David was anointed in front of his family, but he was formed in the field unseen, unnamed, overlooked. So even if the spotlight finds you, do not live for it. Live for my presence. Let the opinions of men become like whispers compared to the weight of my voice. Let applause not make you move faster than my instruction. Let criticism not make you slow down when I say go. The safest place even in elevation is still beneath my wing. 2, don't confuse activity with obedience. Just because you're doing more does not mean you're doing what I asked. In this new season, opportunities will multiply. People will offer platforms, positions, and promises. But child, not everything offered is ordained. Listen for me. Ask me before you say yes. Test every open door. The enemy too can open doors if it means distracting you from the one I designed. Not all increase is of me. Some are tests in disguise. Some are counterfeits wrapped in spiritual language. This is why I gave you discernment. Not to judge people, but to recognize my fingerprint. Do not move because of demand. Move because of direction. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every room deserves your anointing. Let me remind you, even Jesus said no to the crowd to go pray. Even Jesus walked away from what looked urgent to sit at my feet and hear my will. You must do the same. 3, Guard your oil at all costs. Your anointing is the most sacred gift I've poured over your life. It is what makes your voice cut through confusion. It is what makes your hands carry power. It is what causes people to feel me when you walk into a room. But it can be leaked. It can be drained, not by sin alone, but by neglect, by busyness, by resentment, by exhaustion masked as service. You must learn to return to me daily, to be filled again, to sit in silence until you feel my breath, to lay down the weights you've picked up without realizing. Because, my child, the oil that brought you here will not sustain you if you do not protect it. Remember the 10 virgins? All were invited. All had lamps, but only half brought extra oil. The others had the right intention, but they weren't prepared for delay. And when the time came, their door closed. Let this not be your story. Stay full. Don't pour from emptiness. Don't give when you haven't received. Don't perform when I've called you to pause. If you keep your oil full, I will continue to send those who are ready to receive from you. And my glory will not just visit you, it will rest on you. Now listen, child. This new season is not about proving anything. You've already been approved by me. This is not about arriving. It's about becoming. Becoming the one who hosts my presence. Becoming the one who reflects my nature. Becoming the one who brings heaven to earth in your speech, your walk, your silence. So I ask you, will you remain faithful not only in the fire but in the favor? Will you seek me when things flourish, not just when they fail? Will you listen even when the noise of success tries to drown out the whisper of my spirit? Because if you will, then the door you've entered will only be the first of many. I do not give temporary openings. I give pathways of promise. But the key to each new door will still be your yes. So today, give me your yes again. A fresh yes, a matured yes. A yes that says, even here, God, I will not move without you. Even now, I choose your pace over pressure, your whisper over volume, your presence over platform. For the door is open, but only obedience will keep it that way. And if you remain in me, you will go from glory to glory, strength to strength, victory to victory. Not because of the door, but because of the one who opened it. My beloved child, if you have stayed with me through every word, every whisper of heaven embedded in this message, then know this: you were meant to receive it. Not by chance, not out of curiosity, but because your soul has been marked for something greater. The door has not just opened, it has called you by name. You are not forgotten. You are not a mistake. You are not too late. You are the one whom heaven waited for, the one the enemy feared would awaken, the one the Father delights in still. And now, you have heard not merely a message, but a divine summons. The time to delay has passed. The season of hiding is over. The days of shrinking are gone. This is your moment to rise, to walk boldly, to say with all your heart, "Here I am, Lord, send me." The heavens are still open, the Spirit still moves, and your obedience still matters more than you know. If this message spoke to the depths of your soul, leave a comment below and declare it. I receive it. Let heaven see your agreement. Let the earth witness your alignment. May peace go before you. May grace surround you. May the door remain open because you walked through it in faith. Amen.